Howdy, 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 everybody, and welcome to the Canadian eRacing Challenge here on Apex Racing TV, presented by Apex V2R. We're here live for the final round at Mosport. I'm Austin. I am joined by Peter McKay with Dennis Branch in the production booth, and we're here to close out this wonderful championship we've been following for the last 3 weeks. Seems like Peter is still having a bit of trouble with his mic, so I'll give a little.
Still here, Austin.
Oh, there you are.
Yeah, you looking forward to this one, buddy?
I'm absolutely looking forward to this one. It's the end of this series, and I'm pretty sure the guys up at front are going to be absolutely flooring it to the end because Mosport is that one of the most famous tracks in all the world. And probably the most famous Canadian track known throughout the entire country, and everyone wants to race here, and everyone's probably the most experienced racing here because almost every series races here at Mosport. No matter what you race in, even if it's a stock car series, they will race here, and you get to see the experience. The top four are all within a tenth of each other.
Wow, that is really, really close on this kind of lap. Of course, the top four, surprise, surprise, it's the Mercedes AMG GT, that naturally aspirated 6.2 litre V8 that just rumbles down the Mario Andretti straight. We're looking on screen right now at Andrew Waring, the 336, who was our winner last time out at Mid-Ohio. A very different circuit than this one, Austin.
It's different and similar in a way. They're both featuring elevation changes and a bit of the same double wide American air quote style, but Mosport is just so challenging and it has that oomph to it. It has a little bit more braking. It has a little bit more aggressive braking points and very challenging elevation changes around here.
It really does, and there's I love that first sector where you've just got three big gut corners where you just take a deep breath in and just trust the aerodynamics and the grip of your tires. This is a really classic style circuit. It was actually founded by the British Empire Motor Club. I'll try and say that without a posh voice. Here in Bowmanville, Ontario, and it was carved from the rolling hills of the local farmland. And the first person to win a race here was Stirling Moss, of course, who has turn 5 and 6 named after him.
Actually, I was talking with Scott Goodyear, IndyCar driver. He was giving a driver's breakdown for another series that was coming here, and he actually said it was not named after Stirling Moss, but the company that helped found and paid for the track was actually called Moss, and they got that corner named for it, and that was a common misconception. I don't know which one's true, but I can just tell you, it's a very nice corner.
It is. Well, that is very interesting because on the Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, as it's now. No, I never trust Wikipedia. You see, I'm a bit of a cynic with Wikipedia. Yes. So I was looking at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park website, which of course we should call it Mosport. It's the proper name for it. And apparently, when Stirling Moss had a look at the design of that particular, well, it's actually two corners, turn 5 and turn 6. But it was actually originally designed as one constant hairpin. And he said, no, that would be more of a challenge if you have two small corners. And that will allow for a better view for the spectators as well. And of course, Stirling Moss's first of a number of wives was Canadian.
Oh. Well, no wonder he actually won the first race. He helped design the dang track.
Exactly, you would hope so. And of course, it was in a Lotus 19 as well, with a Coventry Climax engine.
I'm trying to figure out whose favorite corner it was, but it wasn't 5th and 6th, the Moss corners. It was actually the corner before it, that they absolutely loved, and it was the most challenging. I think it was Jackie Stewart who claimed that turn 4 was the most challenging corner he's ever driven. I think he might have been confused on which corner he was talking about at the time, but I think he might have meant
Yeah.
turn 3, which is a corner that Zachary Vanier is approaching right now.
Oh, and he's made it look very
And
difficult there by putting his Ferrari straight in the wall.
And I can
Oh,
tell
dear.
you, that corner at the start of the race is prone to having incidents right there.
This is exceptionally close. Our driver's got room for one, possibly two. Matt Corrins here on screen in the number 42 Mercedes, our second place man from the Mid-Ohio race. It looks like he's just about going to squeeze in an extra lap, or possibly one more lap for Matt Corrins. So let's see if he's got enough to put himself on the pole.
Not enough right there. He's still sitting a thousandth of a second, holding him back in the second row behind Oliver Bedard, who is just... This is the closest qualifying we have seen all season.
Fantastic to see. And of course, we had a brilliant race again at Mid-Ohio in the FRP iRacing Challenge with some single-seater racers. And of course, we had Zachary Vanier taking part in that event as well, where he came 12th in race 1 and off the order in race 2. And also Jean-Christophe Trahan, who hasn't set a time, strangely, in qualifying, but we did see him. There he is on screen. He's in 11th place. My apologies. And he had a 5th and a 7th on Thursday night in a very different car, in the Skip Barber car. Probably a little bit more nimble than this big Mercedes.
Yeah, that car is very nimble and actually a bit stiff. You have to actually throw that car around the corner. But Zachary Vanier and Jean-Christophe Trahan, F1600 drivers, so they're actually very at home in that car.
We certainly are. And of course, we're looking at Jean-Christophe Trahan on track, and you notice the livery on his car. One of his personal sponsor is Canadian Tire, who are, of course, are they the title sponsor of this track, or are they the owner? I'm not sure.
Yes.
Correct. We always like when people write in on the YouTube comments. So if anyone does know, please do let us know, and we would be delighted to mention you on air.
break out the Google tax reports and all that stuff.
Looks like that's our checkered flag then for qualifying, and it's going to be Martin Crisp in the Mercedes. It's a top 5 lockout for these Mercedes AMG GTs, these 6.2 litre front-engined monsters, followed by 2 Audis of Anderson and Block, and then one of 2 Ferraris, Zachary Vanier in 8th. But do you know what though, Austin? The whole top 10 covered by a second, and in a track like this where the draft can really be helpful, especially on the Mario Andretti straight, I think we're in for a good race here.
Oh, we're definitely in for a banger of a race. Top 4, all separated by a 10th. Chris, Bedard, Koritz, and Andrew Waring. It's going to be a dead heat watching these 4 race it out and hopefully stay with each other throughout most of this race and give us a great show until the line, because he got that giant straight, he got that fantastic ending sector that not a lot of people talk about, but that ending turns, all of them, you can just throw the car in there, don't really have to touch the brakes at all, and it provides for some fantastic ending battles, and that's what I'm looking forward to.
It is an absolute menace, that final corner. It's called White's. Turn 10, second gear, possibly third gear, depending on the car. And yeah, it just comes up on you. You get the S's of turn 8 and turn 9 just spot on, and you're all proud of yourself. And then wham, you've got Whites just comes onto you so quickly. So yeah, lots of opportunity for mistakes. So Austin, take it away and tell us our order.
Well, I was going to let you do it, but thank you for offering.
I'm
Martin Crisp takes pole here, followed by Oliver Bedard, Matt Corrins, Andrew Waring, Bill Sayers, Craig Anderson, Nathan Block, Zachary Vanier, Kevin King, Erwin James, Jacob Exton, Jean-Christophe Trahan in 12th place. They're followed by Craig Daly, Dominic Dumas, Jen Gray, Paul Morin, Kevin Glass, Alex Federico, with Alain Lorazeri in the end in 19th place. And that is your grid for the final round here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, owned and operated by Canadian Motorsports Venture Ltd. Thank you, McGirth Brooks.
We've got a viewer. Yes, excellent. Thank you, sir, for getting us up to date on that one. Now, last time out in Mid-Ohio, Austin, we saw that lap traffic was a really big issue for our drivers, and how they managed that was important. And Andrew Waring managed it the best and won the race. Now, the lap here is a very similar length, but two things that play in the driver's favour. One, we have a smaller field today, and of course, Canadian Tire Motorsport Park is a little bit wider, a little bit easier to make passes on slower traffic.
Yeah, and you got that massive long straight on the back end where drivers can sit off on the side and let the others through. And also, I have another comment here from McGirth Brooks. One of the broadcasters sounds like YouTube streamer who goes by Operator Drewski. I am not sure which one is Operator Drewski. I've never seen him stuff, but one of us sounds like a streamer.
Shh, don't tell anyone, it's a secret.
Okay, Peter.
I'm afraid I don't know them. We've got one McLaren in the field as well in 18th place. Federico in the McLaren. It's nice to see a bit of variety, because really that is what GT3 racing is all about. You can have GT3 cars in all different shapes and sizes. You can have a Lexus, you could have a Callaway Corvette, you could have a Mercedes, you can have a Bentley even. It's amazing. That Bentley is a freak of nature, how fast that car is for its size. That's just what GT3 racing gives us.
Yeah, you have Lamborghinis in there as well. The iRacing plate of GT3 cars goes all the way to the Ford GT3, which is probably the hardest car to actually understand on how to get, because there is no Ford GT3 on sale on iRacing. You have to buy the Ford GT to get the Ford GT3, but not the GTE, just the Ford GT regular.
I see.
You have to hop through some hoops to get it, but when you see a Ford out there, it makes you do a double take. Be like, how did they get that here?
I'm going to get one. I'm going to go for it, because one of my favourite teams in the two-wheeled motorsport world and four-wheeled motorsport world is Marc VDS, the Belgian team, owned by a Belgian billionaire, and they used to run the BMW Z4 GT3, and also they ran that Ford GT3 at Le Mans with Rahel Frey, the Swiss driver, as well. So I'm going to get myself one of those and get in amongst all those marks that we can see on screen.
Well, it's very funny when you enter a VRS race and everyone just goes, how do you get a Ford in here?
Well, we're waiting on our drivers coming round. They're warming their tires. Sorry,
it's not the fastest car, I must say that.
At least I have an excuse then.
Yeah, but anyway, they're starting to bunch up and getting ready to go. The Porsche safety car lights are off. They just have 3 more quarters to go before we're going racing for the one last time for the Canadian eRacing Challenge. Ladies and gentlemen, the revs are rising and the heartbeats are too, because we're going racing for one last time at Mosport.
Down they go then into turn 1. This is a big commitment corner, even on warm tyres, but these cars, they will not be warmed up yet on their tyres, so they'll need to take it slightly careful into these first big commitment bends here at Mosport. Such big speeds through these sweeping bends at the start of the lap.
Bedard is looking down to the inside as Waring's trying to hold him down around the outside. And Andrew Waring had a massive run on Bedard going into turns 1 and 2. He was just pushing his nose down to the inside, but Oliver Bedard in that matte black stealth car is holding his own as they're going through Moss Corner. You hear contact in the background as Dumas and Exton went off right there, but it's Chris Bedard, Warren, and Koritz nose to tail with each other.
Well, it's the Mercedes AMG train at the front here. This will be interesting to watch in the opening laps, just how much the draft is going to make a difference out on the Mario Andretti straight. Oh, almost rewind there. Oh, Bedard! Bedard punts Crisp off. That's the pole sitter in the gravel.
I don't think there was contact. I think Chris just lost the back end and tried to take that a little bit too fast, as it's Warren now taking over the lead over Bedard.
This is great news for Waring. Brilliant news for Waring. Waring will be looking in his mirror. Let's get a replay of that accident. So, Bedard following Crisp, our pole setter, gets a big run on him. They're close. Oh, he gives him a help. He gives him a help. Oh dear. What a shame for Martin Crisp after putting the car on the pole. Not his fault there. He will be furious. But as I say, this is a brilliant opportunity for Waring to really make a breakaway. Our winner at Mid-Ohio, he'll be looking in his mirror, looking at the problems behind, and this is his chance. If he wants to take a control of this race, now is the time. He's got to put in a couple of qualifying laps.
And Andrew Waring is going to be very happy because Oliver Bedard might be receiving a penalty for that little bump and run, and Mark Corrins might be promoted up into second place. We'll just have to see if Bedard gets penalized very soon by race control.
Yeah, we will. Big shout out there to that. Is that the number 14 car? Oh, Vernier is up. Vernier and block. How many times?
Chaos!
Huge wreck. Jean-Christophe Trahan in the Canadian Tire Motorsport. Mercedes, in the wall. That is an enormous wreck.
There are 5 cars involved in that. King is also involved there. The Ferrari of Vernier comes across, and then the Audi just skips across the grass, and these new tire model, it's just like an ice rink. He comes screaming into the path of 2 other cars, and this field looks like it's been hit by a nuke.
It really has, and you know what, Vanier, it wasn't a contact with another driver, it was just a little spin on that weight transfer in that mid-engine Ferrari, but you know what, he actually got away with it. It was all the other cars that had nowhere to go that have paid the biggest price after that collision. A lot of them are in pit lane. Now, Austin, do our drivers here have the fast repair as an option?
Not that I know of. Because I already see a lot of cars out. Federico is out. Lawrence, Trainer, and Vernier are sitting in the pits. And Glassloris are once again our wonderful stewards for this race. That's a nice attempt for a move right there. Bedard defending from Koritz. And if they have damage, they're going to be dealing with it, but it's a 40-minute race, a little bit shorter than what we're used to here.
Yeah, looking at Matt Corrins, he looks a little bit impatient. I would say that he's probably got the pace to be a little bit quicker than Bedard here. So if Bedard hasn't got a penalty, might actually be smart for that black stealth bomber car of Bedard to maybe just let Corrins by on the Mario Andretti straight here and tuck in behind him and see if they can work together and get up towards Andrew Waring, because he's checking out right now. He's up to 1.2 seconds ahead of Bedard.
Yeah, Andrew is walking out the door after paying the check, and Bedard and Corrins want dessert, and they're going to definitely need to catch up to him before he's just completely checked out of there.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to have to split a Sunday. They're going to have to share the workload here and be clever. If they try and if Bedard is feeling like he wants to have a shot at winning this race, he probably needs to work together with Matt Corrins here to get up behind Andrew Waring. But that gap is increasing all the time that Corrins is behind Bedard.
Yeah, Waring is just a beast in the race pace because he's just gained 0.3 within the last 3 corners. Yeah,
he's just got that clear air. That's the big thing. And The problem is that Olivier Bedard, the only place he'll be looking right now is in his mirrors, because he's got a big Mercedes right filling his rear view mirror, and all Corrins will be thinking is just seeing Andrew Waring disappear into the distance. So he's got to make a move soon.
Yeah, I think Corrins is looking for that move right now. His nose is buried in that wide behind of the Mercedes in front of him, but he's just too far back to make anything work for it. But he's gonna do it anyway. Slings it down to the inside on the straight, and he's got the speed and the inside as Corrins jumps up into second.
That was a beautiful move from Matt Corrins. Safe, decisive, late on the brakes, fantastic. Barely even lost any speed either, but bad news for Matt Corrins. Fastest lap of the race, a 1 minute 16.160. So he's taken another half a second out of Matt Corrins on that lap.
I thought he didn't have the speed going into there, but that was just the Andretti straight playing tricks on my eyes, because they were going up that uphill section, and the car doesn't look like it's going as fast as it actually is when you're looking at it from just looking downhill at it. But no, Matt Corrins now in second. You can already see he's pulling a gap away from Bedard.
So, have we heard anything about Bedard getting a penalty for that incident with Crisp?
Not that I know of.
He's got away with it.
Scanner. I have the scanner turned on right now, and I'm looking at our channel where the race control communicates to, and they haven't communicated anything about a penalty yet. I think they were looking at it. Oh no! Where is?
Oh, that's huge! This changes the complexion of the race completely.
Tank slapper. He's just had a massive tank slapper. He upset the car on corner entry. He turned left and then went right, and that's just upset the car balance, and he went on a massive slide right there. Waring now has dropped down to third. Matt Corrins is in the lead, followed by Bedard. Can Andrew Waring, fastest car out on track. He has the fastest lap. He needs to close in on Bedard and Corrins to save this race. He has 30 minutes to do so.
He's got plenty of time. Game on, Austin. Now we've got it. Now we're going to watch. Has Waring got that same pace? Of course he did. If you ever see an example of having a good accident, that was one, because he did really, really well to have the presence of mind to keep the car out the wall. So he had no contact with the wall, so that car will still be at 100% of its pace. So he can just get right back on it, put that one behind him, and like you say, nearly over half an hour left and only a couple of seconds to make up. So game on here at Mosport.
While you were talking, the race control came on and issued a penalty, but I wasn't able to hear which car number it was, but somebody did have a penalty, and we'll be finding out who that is very shortly.
My apologies for talking over that.
Oh no, you can't hear him. I can, and my apologies for trying to listen at three things at the same time.
So for those watching, you might, if you look at the top, if you're looking at the car from the front of the car, you'll see at the top left-hand side of the windshield, you'll notice a little LED screen which has a number on it. That is where the driver is in the race. So of course, Andrew Waring right now has a number 03 on his car because he's in third position. So as we come up to lap traffic, you'll see what position that person in the lap traffic is. So if they're right down the order, that'll give you an impression of how they might be a little bit slower, or if they're higher up the order, likewise the opposite applies. So we see that on all GT3 cars, and it's especially at night time a really useful tool to see what's going on in the race.
And another personal touch I love to these GT3s is the LED night strip color. I know some series have a mandate of which color you can use, but not a lot of people mess with it. As Waring, he is charging like a bull. 116 flat, almost getting into the qualifying range of 115. But this is getting even crazier. Morin is closing down. He is closing in with that 2-second gap to Corns. As you can see, all top three within eye shot. And I was getting to the point of the LED. You can actually change the colors of it, and at night, it's very fun. If you see a orange LED night strip, I might be behind you.
Very cool. And I was at the I was at the Rolex 24 at Daytona this year, standing trackside, and some of the LMP2 cars had moving LED lights, almost like disco lights, dancing around on their car, and I thought that should be mandatory. That is so cool.
Little Formula E fade boost action.
Yeah, exactly. Now, also, a shout out to Olivier Bedard on that last lap. Although Waring just pinched the fastest lap, Olivier Bedard was on 1:16.1 there, taking a bit of time out of Matt Corrin. So this is a brilliant race coming up here. And of course, all these drivers in an identical car, as you can see, they're in Mercedes AMG. Oof, using all the road and more there, kicking up the dirt. That is big commitment through turn one there from Matt Corrins.
All three of these guys just set a 1:16.1964. They're on the same pace, just separated just by tenths now. And we are in store for a wonderful final race between these three drivers.
What I love here about is Olivier Bedard. He's a kind of a thorn in the side of these two pro drivers. You know, you see the car in first, Matt Corrins, and third, Andrew Waring. They've got their sponsors and their official livery. And Olivier Bedard, he's just rocking the stealth bomber look, all black, no sponsors, privateer entry, fantastic.
Why is Anderson flashing his lights? There's no one in front of him. Here comes Martin Crisp, though. This corner, Martin Crisp, not a fan of during this race. See, he has that wing damage after that opening lap spin. The pole sitter, he is hungry. 13 seconds down the road from the leading top three. He's going to move up.
So unlucky there. Nothing wrong at all. Absolutely nothing wrong at all there for Martin Crisp, and he was punted into the gravel by Olivier Bedard. And in whether it's in iRacing, in the virtual world, or in the real world, there is nothing more frustrating than that. Especially when Martin Crisp put that Mercedes on pole too.
I can think of a few things more upsetting than that, but it would be it's pretty much the exact same experience of your car just not starting while on pole.
Yes, exactly. And of course, that car that he's just gone past there in fifth position, the Audi of Craig Anderson. For those who are new to this Canadian eRacing challenge, first of all, welcome. Now, Craig is actually an NHL hockey player. He's a goalie for the Ottawa Senators, but enjoying some iRacing while he's in his little hiatus from the ice rinks.
And if you remember our broadcast had Gilles Villeneuve, it was memorable because there was a entire discussion in the comments on where he was actually from.
I do remember that. Yeah, I couldn't decide if he was a Floridian living in Ottawa or an Ottawan living in Florida. I do remember that.
Whose family lives in Florida, but he lives in Canada. If he has a Canadian, and we went off on a massive thing, but that's just the wonders of broadcasting. You get so many people interested in sim racing, and you just always want to find out about their backstories here.
You really do, and I think that's what makes motorsport so exciting. If you know the backstories, then it just makes the whole stakes that little bit higher. Now look at this, Olivier Bedard, he's right in the wheel tracks now of Matt Corrins as they head into the S's. Now, hopefully Bedard doesn't do a repeat of what he did to Martin Crisp, because that would steal a really good battle away from us. But this race is really on. Interestingly, though, Andrew Waring not making too quick a progress up to these top two drivers.
He's got the entire 25 minutes to play with. He doesn't need to rush in immediately and kill these tires. He knows he's faster. Just look at the time. He's 2/10 faster on these guys already. So he's just going to take his time, run his own race, and let these two fight it out in front of him. And if there's an incident, it's a freebie for him.
You make an excellent point there. That's a very, very wise strategy there, just to keep these tires in good condition. Of course, these GT3 cars have traction control and they have anti-lock brakes, but the tires do have their limits. And by the end of 40 minutes, and of course, 40 minutes around Mosport is a long 40 minutes because there's so many high-speed, big guts corners, which is really punishing on the tires. So yes, you're absolutely spot on. Andrew Waring is playing this one very cleverly, and we've got a lap traffic here. Braun GP livery, that's very cool in 12th position. That's
Dominic Dumais. He's been struggling a lot, and this is a corner that Andrew does not want him to be in, because he's going to be actually affected mid-corner, and that dab of the brakes is going to separate Waring, and just look at the times. That's going to separate Waring from Bedard. They're setting 116s, and oh my goodness, Waring was on a fly right there. He went on a 116 flat. I thought his last sector was going to be affected, but no, he made up all that time in the first sector because he went purple sector 1.
I think that was Jacob Exton there in the Braun GP liveried AMG Mercedes. Of course, Braun GP, a team that were in Formula One for 1 year, that rose out of the ashes of the defunct Honda team, had 1 year in Formula One. They technically are, yes, but under the guise of Braun GP, they came in, they conquered, they won the manufacturers and drivers title with Jenson Button in 2009. And the very next year, they turned up, purchased by the might of, funnily enough, Mercedes. Yeah.
You are still dominating to this day.
Yeah, that just shows you a Mercedes motor is, well, you want to have it in your AMG GT, GT3 car, your Formula One car, or hey, even your Aston Martin GTE car, which of course has a Mercedes engine nowadays.
As a Toyota driver, I'm not going to comment.
I've got a Renault Clio RS, Renault Sport, and I'm very sad this week, Austin, because Renault are saying that they're going to close the Alpine factory in Dieppe, which is where all of the Renault Sport cars are made as well, and that makes me very, very sad that my little Francois, his home is going to be knocked down.
That is a very sad news indeed. We really need more Renaults in iRacing.
We do. I tell you what, I've got a friend of mine who is going to be racing in the Mini JCW Challenge in the British Touring Car Paddock this year. And last year he was in the Renault Clio Cup, and the racing is just amazing. 2-litre normally aspirated motors, and they just rev and rev and rev. They're wonderful little cars. They'd make a great car in iRacing, actually.
Yeah, I would love to see the Clio Cups here. But I think there is a few other cars that people would want to see a little bit more, a more fleshed out GT3 field with more cars and variety. And I'm pretty sure a certain Corvette was very highly in demand. Please.
You took the words out of my mouth. The C7 Corvette in C8 any form.
C8.
Oh, the C8. Oh, see, I think the C7 is one of the greatest sounding and greatest looking cars ever made. The C7 GTLM. If you're listening iRacing, and I'm sure you are because Austin's on the broadcast, please give us that car. Austin the influencer. So this
I wouldn't call myself that. Morin is actually falling off the pace.
He has, yeah, but like you said though, I think he's just being clever, and I think he might have been impeded by that Audi there, the 12th place Audi of Dumas.
Yeah, these lap cars not playing in his favor, but as the sun is starting to set and the lights are coming on, we're gonna have ourselves a little bit of a light show in the final half of this race. 20 minutes ago here at Mosport, Corrence, Bedard, Waring, your top three.
Yeah, Waring there, you're right, 1 minute 16.8. But if that's the highest his lap time's going to go, he's still going to feature in the battle for this race, no doubt about it. And I think your comment on the tyres, I think, is spot on. Interestingly, though, what do you reckon, Austin? Do you think that Bedard is just hanging back slightly? Do you think that he's trying to be clever?
Oh,
Waring's
off!
Waring's
off!
In the wall. He's got to be in the wall there, surely. Oh, no.
He's in the wall. He's got damage. Andrew Waring is out of this race, and that's promoted Martin Crisp into third place.
And of course, Andrew Waring, a championship contender, just gets that corner you were talking about. Turn 3, third gear Quebec into the wall, and that is one very damaged Mercedes, and that could be his championship hopes up in flames.
He's in the pit lane. He has a toe into the pit lane, and this is going to lift off the burden from Bedard's shoulders, and now he just has to worry about Corrence, and Corrence, I think, sees that Waring is out of this race, and I think his eyes are all focused on the stealth black car behind him, and I can tell you, that car at night is going to be impossible to spot.
That is one menacing looking race car. That front end of that Mercedes is so mean looking. It's a wonderful looking machine, both in street and GT3 form, and it's amazing. Almost instantly, as soon as Waring hit the wall, Bedard just put on the afterburners and all of a sudden was right on the back bumper of Corrence. So now this is no other influences now. It's just a straight fight between the 42 of Matt Corrence and the number 7 of Olivier Bedard. This is going to be a grandstand finish, I think.
I think it's time to ding-a-ling-dang to the ding-dang-dong for this battle for the lead with less than 20 minutes to go here at Mosport.
Certainly is, and of course that promotes Martin Crisp up into the podium positions, who in turn has an 11-second gap back to Craig Anderson. And actually, do you know what? Martin Crisp, he really would deserve a podium after putting on pole and getting put off the course through no fault of his own. And he's been turning in really consistent laps in third position since then. And who knows, if Corrence and Bedard get together, who knows, he might sneak a victory. Let's see.
Anything is possible. You got lapped cars. You got 20 minutes to go. You got a track that everyone wants to win at, and you got two amazing drivers out there on front, but it looks like Corrence has hit the afterburners as he's just pulled out 4/10 on Bedard in the opening sector.
Yeah, and there's that opening sector. You talk about circuits where the driver really can make a big difference, just being that little bit braver. Well, the sector 1 at Mosport, well, it's got to be one of the most amazing sequences of corners anywhere in the world. It's fantastic. That's what I love about circuits like Mosport or Mid-Ohio or Watkins Glen. Do you know what? They wouldn't make racetracks like that from scratch now. And oh, here's a Ferrari. Oh my word, that was close. That's what we're talking about. That can happen so easily. That nearly wiped out the top 2 cars there, Austin.
Well, if you have a fluttering heart condition, I would suggest watching this at a slow down pace, because it's about to get wild. Nothing you can do. You can't predict anything coming up.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly that managing the traffic is certainly in most parts of this circuit is easier than we saw last week at Mid-Ohio, a very tight and twisty circuit. However, as we saw there, if you come across a particularly slow car, as that Ferrari was for some reason, they could not have come up against that car at a worse point, because, as we said, coming through the S's of turn 8 and turn 9 and that final corner of whites, it just sort of bottlenecks, and if there's a slow car that hasn't seen these two leaders at the pace they're going, it could be a catastrophe.
It indeed can be a catastrophe or a blessing in disguise for Martin Crisp, who is 18 seconds behind these two leaders. And you can just hear the tires being worked so hard as the sun is going down. The temperature is falling as well. So they are gaining grip, but that grip is only going to last them for so long before all that rubber goes away.
His fastest lap of his race so far for Matt Corrins, a 1 minute 16.051. So not the fastest lap of the race, but his fastest lap. So he's really putting the hammer down now. And interestingly, looking at Bedard behind him, there was a few parts on the final sector of that last lap with the rear end of his Mercedes starting to get a little bit loose. Perhaps his tyre starting to go off already.
They may be already going off 25 minutes into this race. It feels like this race is heading in slow motion, honestly.
It's been good action, though. It's like a game of chess going down the Mario Andretti straight. You never know. Olivier Bedard, he's certainly just the slightest mistake from Matt Corrins, and he'll be able to come through. And look at this. It's, just at certain points of the circuit, there's definitely sectors where each driver is superior to the other. No question about it, because look at this. Bedard right on the boot lid of Corrins once more. A 1 minute 16 flat from Olivier Bedard there. That is, so he's matching the pace of Corrins, and Corrins was just that little bit slower. We're now starting to get lap traffic thick and fast. Everyone, we're coming up to
Here comes Bedard! Bedard!
He's having a look. He's having a look.
Ooh.
He's maybe been distracted by the traffic. This is all going to happen now.
Bedard tried to sneak his nose in there. I think there might have been a little bit of a touch between him and Corrins, as I saw a little bit of nose wiggle right there on corner entry.
Now, this will be interesting if they get a little bit of a double draft. So for our viewers wondering what the draft is, that is basically when the car in front punches a nice big hole in the air for you to go through. And of course, if you have less air resistance, your car will travel faster. So if you look at Olivier Bedard in that dark black Mercedes trailing behind the white Mercedes of Matt Corrins, you'll see that he was just gradually clipping a few meters away from Matt Corrins there, and that is all to do with the draft. And the more cars in the draft, the bigger it is.
Yeah, that's Nathan Block holding around the outside, and Bedard and Corrins go around him easily as Nathan Block goes the lap down. 7 cars on the lead lap here. That just shows you the pace of these two guys up out front and the chaos we've witnessed here in the first 3 laps as Bedard took a slide mid-corner.
Yeah, I think that's just so important not to get caught up in silly wrecks at the beginning of the race, but sometimes there is just nowhere to go, as we saw with a couple of those accidents, and unfortunately that took out a couple of our key contenders.
Yeah, Andrew Morin is not coming back out on track. He is out of this race after that disastrous slide in turn 3. As here comes Bedard. He's got the speed. He's looking around the outside. Side by side they go. Bedard has the speed, but can he have the grip? Yes, he does. New leader in that stealth black Mercedes, Olivier Bedard. With 10 minutes to go.
Serious guts. That is one of the fastest corners on this entire Mosport circuit. And Olivier Bedard just sends it round the outside of one of the best drivers in the championship, Matt Corrins. That was the move of the day for me.
Well, I think there's going to be another move up in contention from Matt Corrins, because there's now 10 minutes to go. And this is what I talked about. Just knowing there's going to be an absolute banger of a fight at the end of these races.
Yeah, just coming up only 10 minutes to go now in this race, so it's now or never for these guys. What a fantastic battle we're seeing. Of course, if it doesn't show on the screen here, this is one of the fastest circuits in North America. The lap record here goes all the way back to 2008, when Dindo Capello in the Audi R10 TDI did a lap of 222 kilometers per hour average speed. Now, these GT3 cars aren't quite as fast as that Audi prototype, but still makes you get up and think about it.
In a lap time, how fast is that?
Very.
Yes, okay.
Is the short answer for I don't know. Very. There will be quite a difference. I mean, an Audi LMP1 prototype with a space shuttle engine in it powered by diesel is going to be pretty fast around here.
Yeah, you just, you see all the stuff that Porsche does with its 919 tribute car. That lap around the Nürburgring is just insane if you ever watch it.
It is absolutely outstanding and shows you just how brave Timo Bernhard is. But also, as you know, you do a lot of laps on the Nürburgring, Austin, how important circuit knowledge is there. It's a little bit like the Isle of Man TT in that respect, is that circuit knowledge is just as important as bravery, if not more so. Here goes Matt Corrins, though, goes to the outside. Olivier Bedard shows good discipline and holds his line. He's going to take the inside line. Matt Corrins is going to try and do a Bedard. He's going to try and go around the outside.
I see what you can do, and I can do you better, is what he's trying to say, but Bedard shuts the door mid-corner, and Corrins is staying on the back of Bedard, and I noticed something that Corrins has front nose damage. If you look at the front right of Matt Corrins, he does have some minor damage right there.
Oh, that is well spotted, Austin. Well, if it doesn't seem to be slowing him up too much, but just these little tiny percent could make all the difference. This is the best battle we've seen all season. Fantastic stuff.
Well, they say we saved the best for last. We saved the best track for last. We saved the best battle for last. And Matt Corrins is showing that battle right now as he holds it down onto the inside. They're heading into 4. And it's going to be a side-by-side battle into Mosport, but Olivier Bedard once again gets into the braking zone.
Well, Olivier Bedard had he went really wide round turn 3, but he did so well to defend. But look at this. He's really in a rush to get past here. Wow. Fantastic stuff. Oh, was there contact there? Oh, going down the Marion. I think there might be. But here goes Corrins round the outside. He's going to try it again, but Olivier Bedard spots him. He's just making that black Mercedes too wide.
It is definitely too wide. And these guys are still going faster and faster, but they're absolutely battling now as their times are falling to 117. Look it down to the inside, turn 1. Oh, Corrins is just playing mind games now with Bedard every single corner, trying to throw him off of his game. But Olivier Bedard, his eyes are glued at the back of his head and in front of him, just trying to hold off Corrins. He's looking down to the inside, but Bedard shuts the door. And what a race we are having here with 6 minutes left at Mosport.
Brilliant stuff, Austin. And you know, we've got to draw our viewers' attention to just the body language of this Mercedes that we're on board with. This is a brilliant perspective here. Matt Corrins, he's going to get a good run here on Bedard once more. But you look, he's looking impatient now. He's really struggling. He is getting squeezed. That is, this is really tough racing. Fair but tough racing. But yeah, Matt Corrins, you can tell by the body language of his car that he's in a hurry to get past for Olivier Bedard. Too wide into the S's. That doesn't fit.
Oh my goodness, Corrins swung it around the outside, door to door, but he's got a lot of understeer coming to the final corner. They're door to door once more. He's squeezing him back down into the pit lane. They're racing like it's the last lap right now, but there's still 5 minutes left here at Mosport.
Martin Crisp, if you're listening, this could end up in the tire barrier here. They are racing so close together, but Matt Corrins has just got this tiny little edge now. Can he break away? He was looking really impatient to get past Olivier Bedard there. Obviously felt he had the pace, and look at it, he's really stretching now. He's got to hit every marker millimeter perfect now.
He's got to be millimeter perfect, but remember, Bedard doesn't have that front nose damage that Matt Corrins does. Will that damage affect his top line speed to a noticeable amount to make it easier for Olivier Bedard? Or will Corrins be in control to the end of this race. His eyes going to be glued to his mirrors. It looks like Olivier Bedard is holding back this lap and just watching and scouting on Matt Corrins and just waiting for that final lap and opportunity.
We saw
He's
there.
going into the pit lane.
Bedard's in the pits. Why is that? That's
Is this
bizarre.
penalty?
Oh no. Is that
this
the penalty you were talking about? Oh my word.
For the start of this race?
Wow. That's amazing. Oh my goodness. We'll need to hear from race direction there what's going on. My goodness me. Oh, I feel like we've been robbed of the battle, Austin.
I don't know what's happening. Do these guys have to pit? Are they going to be short on fuel? I think
could be. We saw one of the drivers.
Splash of fuel.
Oh, no way. We did see one of the drivers run out of fuel on the last corner at Mid-Ohio last week, and that, of course, caused a big wreck between Justin Di Benedetto and Jean-Christophe Trahan. Maybe Olivier Bedard just miscalculated the fuel. That would be such a pity if that's the reason. I guess we'll find out post-race.
These cars have engine modes and all that, and now Martin Chris is up in second place. He's probably scratching his head on what's going on as Corrins now. His mirrors are clear. I think we're going to have a fuel mileage battle at the end of this race, but it's going to be fuel map versus fuel in tank, pushing versus saving between Corrins, Crisp, and Bedard.
Certainly is. This is what a roller coaster day for Martin Crisp. He puts it on the pole, and then he gets put in the grass by Bedard, into the gravel, sorry, and into the wall. As you can see, he's got a bit of damage. And then all of a sudden, he's back up in second position. What a bizarre day for the number 154.
This race is whack.
It's crazy. It's brilliant. This has been such a joy to call. This is what being a motorsports commentator is all about, and what being a motorsports fan is all about. If you ever want to be sold on motorsports, especially in the virtual world, this is a perfect example of why you should get involved.
Races like these, and Matt Corrins is saving fuel. He is definitely not going at 100% down that straight. He is in a lower fuel map and everything, and he's going to try to eke out the last 2 minutes of that car with 2 laps to go here at Mosport.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's got 19, nearly 20 seconds back to Matt Corrins,
okay,
so he has got to be going very well. He still did a 1:16.5. That is pretty fast, so he obviously doesn't have too much of a concern over his fuel. He can afford to really back off here if he wants to, but clearly not. He's still out on the grass and all sorts. What a showman!
Well, my mind is broken. I swear he was going slower down the straight, but I don't know.
Well, it was, it was the same back in the mid-1960s when Graham Hill and Jackie Stewart were teammates for BRM. They were getting told to slow down by their pit board with their team manager, who was getting very nervous of them racing each other. But actually, they were changing up gear that little bit early, lifting off, driving that a bit more smoothly, and they just kept going faster and faster and faster. And so Jackie Stewart, he always says, the smoothest is the fastest way. So perhaps he is in a fuel save and then still kept his lap time up.
We never know, but we also have a great battle for 4th place between Anderson and Daly. They're bumper to bumper and definitely up to speed for 4th place between the Audi and Mercedes.
Well, that Mercedes, I love that tic-tac livery on that Mercedes, an old classic throwback livery to the Mercedes team in the DTM back in the early 1990s. A very, very cool paint scheme on that car with a nice addition, a Canadian addition on the back bumper there.
It's got a little spicy flair, I must say there, and with as they come across the line. They're getting the white flag here at Mosport as Matt Corrance has passed that line, and he is approaching the S's right now. And
Gotta stay on this. What a great battle here for 4th position. But playing for keeps here.
It's looking like Daly's swinging around the outside. He's looking around the outside. He's going unable to do it, but he's going to go for the switchback. But it's held off as Matt Corrance comes across the line. He had fuel in the tank to spare, and he takes the win.
Well, here we are. The one thing that Craig Anderson in his professional life as an NHL goalkeeper, he's good at blocking things, and that is exactly what he's got to do here to block Swires in the, blocking Daly in the Mercedes, in that tic-tac Mercedes. Let's see what's going to happen going into the S's. We know that round the outside can work, but doing it is another matter. Let's see.
It's going to be... Daly might need a tic-tac and make a absolutely fresh move. He's got one corner to go. Are we going to see a NASCAR truck-style dive up there? No, we aren't. It's going to be smooth, clean racing, respectable racing here. Anderson 4th, Daly 5th, as 1, 2, and 3 all drive in a group, and Matt Corrance gets a nice little congratulations right there from Olivier Bedard after he had to do that last stop and okay. And
he's not happy. Martin Crisp not happy with Bedard, of course. Now, we have got the dream podium. Let's hope that we get Corrance, Crisp, and Bedard all in for post-race interviews, because I'm sure they've all got their own story to tell, and we've got a lot of questions we want to ask. And look at this style from Matt Corrance in his AMG, winding up all 8 cylinders of that 6.2 litre motor and doing some donuts. We love it.
It's the most popular spot to watch the race at Mosport, and Matt Corrance seems like he's done this before, and the virtual fans right there are going absolutely wild in that section as he takes the win, and some very American donuts for the Canadian. But wow, what a race. And we are joined by a few of our drivers after this, but first let's go through our results, Peter.
So the winner then, Matt Corrance in the number 42, after that amazing battle for most of the race with Olivier Bedard, just left at the very last moment where the Bedard had to go in and get a little bit more fuel. So Matt Corrance, the 42, wins by 20.4 seconds from Martin Crisp in the 154, with Bedard rounding out the podium just 22.6 seconds behind. Craig Anderson, number 41 in the Audi, 46 seconds back. And 5th, Craig Daly in the 181 Mercedes. 6th was Bill Swires. 7th, Nathan Block in another Audi. 8th was Erawan James. 9th was Dominic Dumas. 10th was Jen Gray. 11th was Jacob Exton. 12th was Zachary Vanier in the Ferrari. 13th was Kevin King. 14th was Paul Morin. 15th was Andrew Waring, no finisher, 16 laps down after that big wreck at turn 3. 16th, Jean-Christophe Trahan in the number 2 Mercedes. 17th, Alex Federico. And 18th, Kevin Glass. And 19th, Alain Lozier.
I think this is every race we've commentated that the organizers and race control.
I've done that again.
Hey, I read them out on the grid too.
They're with us in spirit.
Yes, they are. And we have our race winner with us right now, ladies and gentlemen, Matt Corrance.
Mac, what a race that was. How was it from the driver's seat?
Thanks, guys. It was just basically trying to think championship. I saw Andrew had some issues there. When he had some issues, I decided, screw it, I'm going to go for the win. And, well, that's what we ended up doing. Passed around the outside of 8. It's not easily done, and it's probably a bit risky, but, oh well.
Yeah, I tell you what, for someone driving with the championship in mind, that was some brilliant racing. But such great respect between you and Olivier. It looked like from our view here up in the booth that you're racing hard but fair. Would that be a fair assessment from your perspective?
Yeah, that was a very, very fair assessment. So it was a good battle with them. A couple times, little questionable stuff on both our parts, but that's racing. It was clean 99% of the time. So yeah, I can't fault him. He drove a good race.
And we saw Olivier go in quite close to the end of the race. We suspect he might have either had a penalty or be short on fuel. Did you have any issues with fuel mileage in your Mercedes?
No, I've been putting in the time, or I should say we've been putting in the time running the mock races that we have. So I've got my fuel number down to a T, basically. So no, I had no issues. Sometimes it's more preparation than pace that wins in the end.
You're absolutely right, and that's the thing that's so unique about sim racing as well, isn't it? That you can go out and put the hours in and get prepared for the race, and really that preparation really showed off. Congratulations on your win. Before we let you go, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to after your win?
Yeah, I'd like to thank once again Marc Andre and Apex B2R for putting on the series for us all here. I think we put on a good show. It's almost going to kind of be sad when it's all over, but looking forward to turning to a real car. My dad here is sitting next to me, and my buddy Scott who's watching. They've been helping with the setup, and of course Ronan Simsport, who I drive for here on iRacing. They've been helping as well. So it's a all-around team effort. Paid off in the end with the win and the championship too, I believe.
Well, congratulations, and hopefully see you out there in the real world racetrack and still here on iRacing as well. Thanks for coming in to join us, Matt. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks for the coverage, guys. It's been awesome. Thanks.
And that was Matt Corrin. So we're going to bring in our second place driver, Martin Crisp, right now, who has had a up, down, side to side, left, right day. Started up on pole. First lap was just absolutely not ideal, but he finishes up on the podium. Martin, how was that race?
It was a lot of fun. I run into this netcode thing a fair amount because I although I'm from Toronto, I live in Australia, so there's quite a distance to travel for the internet. So you run into netcode a lot racing down here. So it is what it is. Olivier did nothing wrong, absolutely nothing wrong. It was just we were just close enough that netcode interfered, and that's all that happens. But it was a good race. I got lucky with. Inheriting third and then inheriting second. So, because I was a good, 19 seconds behind the top three after that. But it's all good. It was fun.
Well, you're certainly all smiles as you stand up there on the podium, second place, and enjoying a little bit of the bubbly. Any highlights from this season?
It's been fun for me, the highlight's been racing against people I used to race against back in Canada when I lived there. And that's been the fun part, to race with people I used to race with in the CTCC and meet some new people. And that's been the fun part. The season hasn't gone as well as I had hoped, but that's racing. That's how it goes. But happy to finally finish on the podium. It's my first time to be here. So it's good for me.
Well, you certainly seemed well adjusted to the podium. Before we let you go, anyone you want to thank?
I'd like to thank a couple of sponsors. One is Track Racer. They provide us with the rigs. LearnSetup.com, which is my company, provides setups. And RC Maker, which we're working on some sim rig components with them. So just want to say thanks to them.
All right, awesome. Thank you, Martin. You have yourself a good morning out there in Australia.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it.
And Peter is standing by with Olivia Bedard.
Olivia, what a roller coaster race. It was certainly an absolute thriller here in the commentary booth. How was it from your seat?
I'm sorry, is it my turn to speak?
Yes.
It certainly is, sir. After you. Did you catch my question okay?
Oh, can you repeat it, please?
Sure, of course. I was saying, what a roller coaster race that was, Olivia. How was it from your seat?
it was an incredible race. We had a lot of fun. Unfortunately, in the first lap, I made a little mistake, but there was also, I watched the replay and there was a bit of a net code as well. But still, it was maybe a little too close to Martin, and I said sorry to him about I don't know, maybe 2-3 times during the race. But still, after that, it was a nice battle with Andrew and Mac. I let Mac pass in the beginning of the race. I knew he was faster than me. I wasn't comfortable with the car yet. The setup from quali to race was very different on my car, and so I knew I needed a few laps to get comfortable. I maybe don't have enough experience compared to the other guys to be fast right away with, especially at Mosport, the car is very twitchy. So I knew he was faster. I knew he would catch Andrew and maybe fight together, and if I could keep up with them, and then maybe by the end of the race have a fight with them. But then I think the next lap Andrew spun, so uh, maybe that wasn't the right strategy from my side. But still, we had a great battle with Mac. Was able to pass him. It was really close. I think we ran the same lap times for quite a few laps consecutively. And then, yeah, I ran out of fuel. I think I missed about 8 liter of fuel. So just a splash and go at the end.
What a pity. We wondered about that when you came into pit lane, when you and Mac were just having the most amazing battle to watch. Really fair, really, really fierce as well, but very fair nonetheless. Particularly when we saw you go round the outside at turn 8. Can you just give us a little bit of a tutorial on how on earth you do that?
In the series I used to run in the Micro Cup, we do that move many times. So for me, it was basically just to do it again. So I was surprised he braked early. I think he was conservative on that occasion. So it was I used the draft, and I was expecting to go side by side, but I think he played it smart. So I came back on the inside. And then, yeah, we had a nice battle. But I think I realized after 2 laps being up front, I realized my fuel was low. So I switched my map to, I think, 1 or 3, or the one that is for fuel saving. And so I knew I tried to block him a little bit, still being clean. He tried a few times, and then he finally got passed around me on the outside. And then I knew I had to pit because I wasn't going to make it. So it was a nice fight with Mac. I had a lot of fun, and you can see like he's a very good driver, very consistent. It was tough to keep up with him. I think I've been a bit lucky with the back markers, the lap traffic, but still, in those conditions, give and take. So yeah, it was a lot of fun, and congrats to him.
Well, you both put on a spectacular show, which I'm sure all our viewers enjoyed just as much as we did. I'm sure you did. And what was amazing is that who would have thought that what you learn in a Nissan Micra you could apply to an AMG 6.2 litre V8? Congratulations on getting onto the podium today. Is there anybody you'd like to give a shout out to or thank before we let you go?
Like I said in the French interview, I think the first race, I don't have anything yet confirmed for this year, so I'd like to thank my to be determined sponsors, and yeah, thank you guys for the series. Thank you guys for the broadcast, and hopefully we'll have some more races with you guys in the future.
So, for any potential sponsors watching, and if they have been watching, they'll have seen how good you are in close combat. How can they get in contact with you, Olivier?
Through website, Facebook, LinkedIn. My cell phone number is 514-771-8859. So if anyone's listening, sorry.
There we are. Form a queue.
Exactly. So yeah, but we're working on stuff. This year is going to be, I think, a little bit difficult with the crisis going on. It's already some drivers they're struggling. So right now my focus will be for next year, trying to get a good program. But I'm open to anything for.
Perfect. Well, we wish you the very best of luck with that, and looking forward to seeing you out on track in both the virtual and real world very soon. Thanks,
Thank you
Olivier.
guys again.
What a race and what a season it has been for the Canadian eRacing Challenge presented by Apex V2R. Oh my goodness. Can we have another?
Again.
Well, this has certainly been one for the books and one for the definite replay ability and watching of classic races here on Apex Racing TV. Peter, what was your favorite moment of this series?
Well, I have to say, as you say, we saved the best for last. I have to say, Olivier Bedard round the outside at turn 8 here at Mosport. And the bit that amazed me there is that he learnt that move in a Nissan Micra. That is just extraordinary.
It certainly was. It put a smile up on my face when I heard the origins of that move and idea. Well, it's definitely one that I'll be trying to use and probably going to be failing a lot. But what a series. And I hope everyone who's watching up on YouTube and all over here on Apex Racing TV had a enjoyable time for the Canadian eRacing Challenge. I've been Austin Knight. I've been joined by Peter McKay with Dennis Branch up there in the production booth. Thank you, everyone, for watching, and we hope you have a good night.